Um, I'm Sasha Tanase. I have 10 years of design experience. I have been the head of design of Alethio Stats, the Ethereum data analytics platform, and now I am leading design research at Keep Network. And at Keep Network, we have the user love as our core value. So this is why today my talk is about accessibility and inclusive design. So today, I'm going to tell you a bit about design, inclusive design and accessibility. I will give you a brief idea about some types of impairments, some issues that Ethereum might have in terms of accessibility and how we can address them, and of course a cheat sheet so you can check it for your product if you want to make it accessible. So we cannot talk about accessibility without talking about inclusive design. So what's inclusive design? Actually, this is a design approach that ensures that places like this building or venues and experiences online and offline are accessible to all people, and it's agnostic to age, disability, and background. So it basically benefits everyone. Accessibility should actually be a byproduct of inclusive design, so there is no exact definition for it, but we should regard it as a set of rules for digital or analog products, which should comply. Oh, sorry for that. Yeah, so if you want your product to comply and be inclusive to all of your users, you have to follow this set of rules. So this is just like an accessibility mantra. No one should be left out. Integration and equal experience should be for everyone. So today I'm going to talk only about 3 types of impairments: visual impairments, motor and dexterity, and color deficit vision. So what are visual impairments? Well, visual impairments can take the form of astigmatism, cataract, farsightedness, nearsightedness, partial blindness, and total blindness. And if you will live long enough, you will definitely experience at least one type of visual impairment. I do have astigmatism, so I'm also impaired. Globally, in 2020, there were at least 2.2 billion people who are visually impaired. 235 million have mild to severe visual impairments, and 39 million people are believed to be totally blind. And unfortunately, by 2050, this number will grow to 150 million due to computer literacy. So what's color vision deficiency? You might actually know it by color blindness, and people who are colorblind do have clear vision, but unfortunately they cannot make a distinction between shades of orange, yellow, and browns, and sometimes they might take black for reds and reds for blacks, and this is a genetic disorder and it's incurable. So there are 300 million people suffering from color blindness. Just to make it less abstract, this is the entire population of the United States of America. And the incidence in men is 1 out of 8, and the incidence in women is 1 out of 200. So let's see the world through the colorblind people's lens. This is trichromacy, this is normal vision, but this is how someone with blue cone monochromacy sees the world, and this is monochromacy. This is a very rare way of seeing the world, but we have to think of that as well. This is green blind, this is red blind, this is blue blind. So apparently the Keep dashboard actually scores very well on the accessibility score for color blindness. So now I would like to tell you a bit about motor dexterity and impairment, because if you're working in tech and Ethereum, you might have at least once experienced it. I'm talking about carpal tunnel syndrome. I had it in both of my hands. And it's motor dexterity translates to the inability of operating a conventional input, such as a keyboard or a mouse. And it's usually tied to the loss of the functionality of one limb. It can be permanent or temporary. And you would ask me, okay, whatever, but we're at an Ethereum conference. Why are we talking about accessibility? Well, that's because we actually need to make Ethereum more inclusive and be more open to all of the array of users. So this is not necessarily statistically relevant, but it's a light snapshot of the crypto users and Ethereum users. So I have ran this poll on Twitter, and 50% of the respondents have answered that they are colorblind, and 20% are blind. So we actually need to address their issues. So basically, this is an iconic image of Ethereum, an iconic data vis of Ethereum, and it's very beautiful, a very beautiful candlestick chart with green and red. But look what happens if you have blue cone monochromacy. You basically cannot understand anything from it. You can't really see the other line, so it's not really working and doesn't give you anything. So what can we do for these users? Well, first of all, we could check all the time if our color schemes are colorblind compliant. I am using a third-party plugin called Colorblind. It was built by the Colorblind Association. And actually, we can try to avoid these color schemes. Green and red is the mostly brutal on the colorblind eyes. And well, of course, about this slide, my colleague Doug, who is the head of product and also colorblind, said, well, this slide hurts my brain, so let's avoid that. And what can we do for visually impaired users? Well, first of all, we can make sure that we make our content scalable for mobile devices. And also, if your DApp is native, make sure you have font size adjust features. For our blind users, we should necessarily and totally allow and provide alt text, because the only way they are interacting with our dApps and our products is through a screen reader. And the screen reader provides the only information you have in your alt text. So if you do not provide anything, they will not find any information about it. So they're basically helpless. So what can we do for blind users and charts and data visualization? This seems to be the final frontier. And there are two solutions. You can provide all of the information in the chart under the form of a table, but this has some shortcomings and is not a dynamic experience. So there is another solution created by HighCharts, which is called sonification, and it's basically bringing life to the chart with the use of sound. So what does this is that it uses a musical scale, and every value from the chart will get a musical note. So if the value of the chart is lower, you will get a low-pitched note. If the value of the chart is higher, you will get a high-pitched note. And if there is a juxtaposition in the chart, the screen reader will make a polyphonic sound. That was a video that it doesn't work. So what can we do for people who are have motor and dexterity impairments? Well, we need to make sure that all of the content is accessible and accessible on keyboard only, by keyboard only, which means they can use the Shift tab keys and also for inputs space enter. So they basically can work out their way only by the keyboard. But also we need to use our hover effects and keyboard focus indicators for the users. This works in a way like a visual breadcrumb. So we've learned about types of impairments. We've learned about accessibility issues that the Ethereum might have and how we can address them. And now I would like to show you a very short checklist that you may run through your product and to make your product more accessible. So check the contrast between the foreground and the background. Check the font height. 16 pixels, it's the minimum height, 20 points. Ensure images and icons have alternative text for the screen readers. Allow content scaling for mobile browsers and text zoom only. Ensure buttons and links have descriptive text, and this is also, you need to ensure that by looking at your code, you need to ensure that there as well. Make sure forms control have descriptive labels. Verify that all the content is accessible only by using the keyboard and provide keyboard focus indicators. Provide closed captions and transcripts for media for the people who have auditory impairments. And there are some tools and standards that you might want to check. There is Colorblindly, which is a third-party plugin for your browser, and that's checking your content for color deficit vision. You can use Wave, which is actually running a quick accessibility test, and it's based on WCAG standard. You can make use of high charts to provide sonification to your charts, and you can use screen readers like JAWS, NVDA, and VoiceOver to check if all of your content has alternative text. And these are two standards you might want to check, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines and Section 508. These are under form of rules and laws in the United States. And from now on, your products need to be accessible through anyone. And I know that accessibility is a lot to digest. I know that it may be daunting for your team, but if you break down everything in small tasks and you try to address them each sprint, you will actually make your product more accessible and help a lot of users. And accessibility doesn't only concern designers, it actually concerns developers, product managers, CEOs, because all of the users have the right to use their products. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
One, two.
Do you have any question?
Hello. Hi, Sasha. Thank you very much for the amazing and important presentation. So my question is, in today's world of this beautiful ecosystem, as we know, 95, maybe 99% of the effort and resources goes into the engineering, and then maybe 5% goes to like the higher level UI design. So how would you recommend that a person who wants to push this philosophy in their organization goes to their like stakeholders, for example the CEO that you mentioned, and helps adopt these important aspects?
So I think they need to bring an example with which the CEO might empathize. So basically running a set of images through, just like I did, for showcasing how colorblind people are saying. Also, exact numbers and stats could also be useful. So if you go there and you're telling him that, or her, 300 million people are suffering from that, maybe it's important. And also with some surveys, numbers are very, very effective in this case. So I think that would be a way to do that. And probably a very healthy UX culture will also include accessibility. So basically, if you're embracing UX, people who are designers and UX designers will try to evangelize and teach the team about this.
Cool, thank you. You've been talking about this for some time now. Do you see improvement in this area?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. I think it's everything for the questions.